I'm DJ Rad Key, and welcome to what is now my 74th vlog in this series. It is Thursday, September 6, 2018. It's going to be a great day today. I can feel it. There is no school at the Scratch Academy, but I'm going anyway. I did not go on Monday because it was Labor Day. I feel my whole week was out of whack, and I want to make up for it and go in on a nice Thursday and get really behind the turntables and just listen to more of my songs. I need to listen and know more of the music I'm playing. I kind of learned that from last night, which I had a nice gig last night, a real nice gig, went very well, learned a lot, and I want to kind of provide you, the viewer, give you some advice on how to handle DJing a car show. DJing specifically an outdoor event in a parking lot. There's a lot more variables than maybe you would think if you've never done one before. And I've done 3 now. This is my 3rd car show. And the most important thing, the most important detail, the biggest tip I can give you in DJing a car show is know what kind of cars are going to be featured at this car show. It's a different style. You're not making people dance. That's not the goal. You know, don't try to make people dance. You're just trying to play good music to people who are looking at cars and hanging out and talking and bobbing their heads and, you know, feeling a groove. So you got to take that all into account. So of course, you know, eliminate the EDM songs, eliminate anything hard, heavy dance music, pretty much anything over 120 beats per minute, just chop off. You don't need it. I mean, maybe there's exceptions. There's a time and place for everything, but there's no reason to play any EDM at a car show, regardless of what kind of car show it is. Also, 100% play all clean music. Regardless, again, what the car show is, children do attend car shows. The last thing you want is one parent with a very young child hearing very bad words. Take that all into account. But again, know the type of cars that are featured at the car show. So I've done a Jeep event, and Jeep people are different. I actually owned a Jeep. I loved it. I loved having a Jeep Wrangler. It was great. But I'm not a Jeep person now, and I kind of really wasn't a Jeep person then, but I did still have a Jeep. But Jeep people like the grittier music. I'm thinking like Papa Roach, Last Resort. I'm thinking Red Hot Chili Peppers. Maybe some 90s throwback stuff, some Biggie, Tupac. Like that to me is a Jeep kind of crowd, and that's what I kind of played for the Jeep show when I did play that Tilted Kilt as well, and that went very well. Played some newer music, you know, sprinkled in a little bit of everything, but definitely went like more rock heavy. So, you know, I recommend that for a Jeep show, but definitely not for everything. So, I've also done a Porsche show. It was a classic. It was Porsches, but mostly classic Porsches. Some newer ones, but a lot of them were like from the 80s and maybe 90s, maybe some 70s Porsches, some 60s Porsches even. So you kind of get the feel that there was older, really rich white guys basically own classic Porsches for the most part. I don't want to stereotype Porsche owners, but I believe if you own a 1977 Porsche, you're probably an old rich white guy. So you play that kind of music. I played like some, I started actually like playing like just some Usher for some reason. I just felt like Usher, whatever Usher song was at the time was appropriate. And right away the manager came up, this was at the beer garden, and was like, yeah, cut that out. Like that ain't gonna work. So then I kind of like stopped, looked around, thought about it, and I'm like, yeah, that won't work. Skip like another decade, you know? And then I went to like the whole Prince, Erotic City kind of vibe, the 80s techno-ish, female vocal heavy, that Taylor Dane feel. If you know 80s music, you know what I'm talking about. So, and that worked. And then I even back into the like 70s, like Staying Alive went over big. But again, I would never play Staying Alive at a Jeep show, nor would I play it at, you know, a car show that I played yesterday, which I actually would like to be more specific about in this vlog. But yes, the car show yesterday. So that was, I didn't inquire. I got the booking on Tuesday. I didn't think much about it because I had a very busy day Tuesday. Got into Wednesday, started thinking about my set, what I was going to play. I mentioned at the Academy to Immortal and Fiello that I did have a car show. They said, like, cool, like, what kind of music you playing? And I'm like, and I thought about it for a second. I'm like, what kind of music am I playing? And I'm like, man, I don't even know what kind of car show it is. I should have asked. But I thought it was going to be more of a classic car-ish vibe, old vets, like 80s cars, for whatever reason. A Tilted Kilt in Boca, that's what I think. If it was Fort Lauderdale, I would think something different. Miami, something different. But I just thought, you know, Boca Raton, Tilted Kilt from 7 to 10 p.m. It's probably going to be dudes in their 30s and 40s, with their cars that they fixed up and souped up. That was I knew it wasn't a Jeep show. I knew it wasn't a Porsche show, somewhere in between. And it turns out it was a modified kind of street car, custom car show. So that changes it. So when I rolled up, I was immediately greeted by I don't know if he was technically the head of the food chain for this event, but he immediately greeted me. Pretty sharp, savvy, business kind of guy, seemed on the ball, and immediately asked me, what do you plan on playing? Well, he actually, let me take a step back. He cordially introduced himself. He was very businesslike, and he's like, well, what are you playing? And he seemed like the kind of guy that is going to be interested in what the DJ plays. Some people, I can tell, just don't care at all. Some people don't even know I exist when I show up. Some people are super duper interested, and this guy seemed like he was interested enough to approach me before I even set up anything and said, what's the deal? And I thought about it, and I paused, and I looked at him and the people that were there, and I was thinking, well, it's guys in there right now at that time, and that was 6 o'clock. I'm like, right now, the people that are here, and again, the event hasn't started, but people are kind of arriving. The first, 3 tents are being set up. There were a couple Lambos out pretty early, a Bentley out early. So it was bubbling up early. So there's already kind of a crowd arriving at 6, and I knew I'd be ready and be just at 7 between the tents, setting up, new venue. I knew I was running real good on time, but really close. So I kind of paused for a second. I thought about it, and I asked, and I inquired in him. I'm like, well, Red Hot Chili Peppers, probably a lot of rock, some rock remixes, and I'll probably use some throwback, but a little bit of pop, that kind of vibe. To be exact, that was kind of my quote. And he looked at me like, nah, dude, don't play that. And I'm thinking in my head, actually, I'm just going to read the crowd. I'm going to really read the crowd out is probably what I'm going to do. But that's just what I was thinking. And he said, it's a young crowd, bro. It's a young crowd. It's a young crowd early. Play music for young people. He's like, and then just do your thing. But hip-hop would be great. I'm like, all right, cool, yes. So this guy, he is definitely in charge. He gives me exactly what he wants without saying it. This is going to be an awesome, awesome gig. I knew it off the get. This was going to be an awesome gig. Because if he laid out a really rigid, dude, yeah, it's going to be a lot of country music fans, and it's my boys, and my boys love some drum and bass and throwing a bunch of reggae. I'd be like, ooh, okay, cool, that changes the game. But he was very specific, and he was specific with things that I had that I can work with. So that was good. So again, to throw another, a tip amongst the tips I've kind of randomly spewing out is find out who's in charge of the event, because the person in charge of the event is probably not the person that is the manager. So your contact person paying you is probably not the person that you really are focused on the music. Because in any gig like this, there's always 1 or 2 people, sometimes multiple people, depends on the layering, that want to know what the DJ's playing, did he do a good job. And that's, my goal for this Wednesday night Tilt to Kilt thing is I know I have 3 more gigs in September. It was for the Wednesdays of September. Beyond that, I don't know. Nothing's locked in. I'm assuming this Street Law team is doing this as a month of September thing. Maybe they carry it out. I'm not assuming that. But it would be great to get other gigs at the Tilt to Kilt. And I thought I did a great job. I got great feedback. But again, to tie in some advice, to throw out my advice without making this too much of a story, is be prepared for the outside event with duct tape, have tons of duct tape, and be weather ready, and of course have a tent. Because even it might be an event, and you might be on a quote-unquote patio, you don't know for sure. So bring the tent along, and tents at home. I got my tent. It's a 10-foot by 10-foot tent at Home Depot. I believe it was $120. And imagine if you didn't have a tent and it rains, the cost that would be involved on your equipment. So think about it, $120. And if you're trying to cut corners, don't get a tent. Even if it doesn't look like rain because of the sun. It didn't look like it was going to rain yesterday. As soon as I started setting up, and being in Florida, it started to drizzle a little bit, very little bit. So I kind of reevaluated quickly, thought about the speaker situation, because even on a nice sunny day, slightly overcast, you can put your speakers outside. But if a storm hits, you need to have a plan. And my plan was the patio was right there. So worst case scenario is if it hit hard, I could, with assistance from somebody, put a speaker inside and get my equipment reorganized. So with any outdoor event, even if it looks like there's not a cloud in the sky, have some kind of plan. Have a plan if it does rain. Have a tent. Have a tent is the first thing. Always have a tent. Rain or shine, have a tent. And then also be prepared for inclement weather, especially in South Florida. Another thing is, know the exact times that you're playing for an outdoor event, because they could have restrictions and time constraints. My event was from 7 to 10. I played till at 7:03 10:03, I believe, was my first song I played live, and I was done at 10:01. And I had 2 girls actually dancing in front of the DJ booth after the event was pretty much over. I could have played for probably an hour and had them go, and that was super fun. Maybe kind of feel like a little mini nightclub, because by then it was dark, and I had my lights on, and a couple of really, really good-looking girls dancing in front of like a bunch of exotic cars. So it was cool. So that was cool. But there might have had a time limit. So I pulled the plug immediately. Like, there was no reason for me to play till 10:30. I wasn't trying to go back up to the manager and be like, hey, you want me to play longer? I mean, the event was over. It was done. Unplug at 10 o'clock like your job says and pack up and call it a day. Because there might run into noise restrictions. Because imagine if the owner says, hey, yeah, I got an outdoor event from 7 to 10, and you're having a good time not paying attention at 10:15, and you get a call the next day saying, like, yeah, why'd you play till 10:15? The neighbors were complaining. I told them music would be off by 10. So think about that. Think about that. You don't want to get some kind of noise violation because you played later because you thought you were doing the bar a favor, but really, you know, that wasn't the plan. So I hope I've spread enough advice. I've thrown a bunch of stuff at you, but again, the car show was great. It went well. That'll be for, if you're around Boca or South Florida area, I'll be every Wednesday through the month of September, 7 to 10 o'clock. It is I would call it a modified street car show. There was everything from, you know, custom painted Lamborghinis to custom BMWs to Bentleys to a lot of I would say like the Fast and Furious style cars, but there was also a lot of high-end luxury cars. So come and check it out. Come check me out. See everything that is DJ Rad Key on DJRadkey.com, and always be good to people. You know, hug a friend, say hi to a stranger, smile somebody who needs it, save the ocean life, don't litter, and be a good person. And as always, peace.